In Studiometry 13 and newer, you can now customize your rates based on the client, project, or employee. Now, what does that mean? Well, in Studiometry, you can set up any number of rates for your different types of work. Let's look at this really quickly via the timesheet menu, Edit Rates. Now, just so you know, there's a completely separate tutorial video about how to set up and use your rates in Studiometry, but we're just going to look in here really quick just to see what our rates currently are. Each of these rates can have a default hourly amount that you charge to your clients. You can see that right here in the rate column. But let's say that you have a client that you always give a 20% discount to. Now, previously, you'd either have to create a new rate type or manually change the amount charged to the client every time you enter work. So if we wanted to give a 20% discount on concepting, what we would have had to do before is click the New button and then type in concepting and 20% off. And then select hourly and manually type in the hourly amount of $80, which is 20% off of 100. And then we can see here that we have concepting, the regular one, and 20% off. And then we would have to actually select that every time that we wanted to go into the client and do concepting. So it's very complicated and a little too much work if we wanted to just give an across the board 20% discount. So I'm going to delete this. And instead what I'm going to do is just customize the rates for the client. So I'm going to close out of the rates window and I'm going to go to a client. And then what I'm going to do is go to the Client menu and select Edit Client Rate Customizations. This will bring up the Customize Rates window. Now, if you're customizing rates for a client or a project or an employee, this window will always look pretty much the same, and you'll have the same controls here. At the top, you can select the Adjustment type, which determines how the client's rates are adjusted. The options are None, which means it will use the default rate, plus minus %, which will adjust all rates for the client by a percentage, plus minus amount, which will adjust all rates for the client by an amount, custom rate, which will replace all rates for the client with a specific amount, and finally per rate adjustments, which will let you adjust each rate for the client individually. Let's start with plus minus %, just to see how this works. So when we select that, there's a new field here where we can actually enter the percent that will be added to or removed from each rate. So if I say minus 20%, we can see that all of the standard rates are listed in this column, and then the result rate will be listed here with the 20% reduction. So it'll show you a live update of what the actual result will be for this rate adjustment. So if we hit save here, this client would have an across-the-board discount of 20% for all of their rates. So let's look at some of the other options. If we go from percent to amount, and we leave it at -20, you can see it just removes $20 from each of the rates. So that's the difference between percent and amount. Percent changes this by a percentage of whatever it is, and amount will either add or subtract this amount to the rate. And then finally, if we go to custom rate, we can actually just enter in whatever we'd like here, and it will replace any of the rates with what we've entered here. So we can have an across-the-board flat rate for every type of rate for a specific client or employee or project. So that's great if you want to make changes across the board for all rates, but most likely you'll want to make customizations to individual rates. So to do that, we go to the Adjustment pop-up and we select Per Rate Adjustments. And this will change a few things in the window. You can see that there's no longer a field here to enter any of the adjustments, and instead there are two new columns in the table below. We can still see the rate's name and the standard amount for that rate and the result, but in the middle we have the ability to select an adjustment and an amount for each type of rate. So if I just wanted to give a 20% discount to concepting, I would click on the concepting's adjustment column, select percent, and then hit -20. And then we can see here that the result is $80. So you can change this on each line to change each individual rate for the selected client. One last thing I wanted to mention before closing this window is that if you have a really complicated per rate adjustment setup and you want to easily copy and paste that between a client and a project or employee or different clients, just use this button down here and select Copy Settings to Clipboard. And then if you do that, you can easily come back into the Customize Rates window for another item and then paste them from here. So that's a quick way to get the same settings between two items in Studiometry. So to show how this works, we'll save this here, and then we'll just create two concepting running timers for two different projects. One will be within the client that we customized, and one will be outside of that client on a client that we haven't customized. So first I'll go to one of this client's projects, and I'll create a new running timer. And then when I select the item type of concepting, we can see that the rate is entered as $80. So if I created that, it would start a timer and then the rate would be $80 an hour. But if I go to another project and create a running timer, and I select concepting, we can see that the default rate of $100 has been entered because it's not part of the Google client. So you can see that the rates are customized. It's automatically entered when you start a new running timer or when you create or enter work. It's throughout the program. It will customize the rates for you based on your settings in the rate customization window. So I'll cancel out of this. Now that was a rate customization for a client, but you can actually customize it per project as well. So if I went to this project, I could then go to the project menu and select Edit Project Rate Customizations. So for the client, it's under Client menu, Edit Client Rate Customizations. For the project, it's under the Project menu. And it brings up this exact same window, and we can see here that right now there's nothing entered for this project. Now, the reason why there's nothing entered here, but this project still has a customized rate, is because the rate was customized for the client. So all projects on that client will use the client's customized rate. But if we changed some of the rate settings for this project, that would override the client's settings. So if you change it for a project, that takes precedence over the client settings. And furthermore, if you change the rates for a specific employee in Studiometry, that will take precedence over the client or project settings. And this is all explained here in this little text box right underneath the adjustment settings. So you can read that if you're having a little confusion about how it works. But basically what it will do is check for an employee customization, and if that doesn't exist, it will check for a project customization, and if that doesn't exist, it will check for the clients. So I'm going to cancel out of here, and then the last thing that we want to look at is how do we actually customize rates for employees. To do that, you would go to Studiometry's Preferences window and go to the Employees section. And then from here you can just double click on an employee, and then you can see the Rate Customizations button. And if we click this, it would bring up again the same window. So if we have an employee who always charges the same rate no matter what type of work they're doing, we could just select Custom Rate and enter that here. And then for any work that that employee does, it will automatically add their custom rate in. So that's another type of adjustment that you could do with this. So that's it. Those are rate customizations in Studiometry 13. If you have any questions about this or anything else, please feel free to contact us at support.oranged.net.